Okay. Okay. So hi everyone. I'm Daivat. Today, I hope I can give my two bits on how to develop and test React components in isolation. We'll be focusing on how to mainly write reliable React components which can be reused and make your life easier. So yeah, let's just get this out of the way. Just two bits about me. I'm a 20-year-old developer from Surat. I love TypeScript. I love React. I love contributing to open source projects. Okay, now let's start. Um, Writing front end code is not actually that much of a difficult task. A lot of people can make websites using React and all that, but writing actually reliable front end code is not easy, and it's often look like people almost ignore it at this point. People almost test their UIs by just clicking around, see if everything is working. That's fine, but as a human being you can't possibly cover all the edge cases that might be there in your UI. So when you test your UI by just clicking around stuff and testing if everything is working fine, it might seem that everything is working fine, but you just never know when it blows up because you didn't test it. It was not automated. So we have computers, so let's just use them. Okay, so writing tests and following this method of writing components, make sure they're tested, make sure they work together well, make sure they work wherever you use them the way you expect them to, gives you lots of confidence, and it just improves the reliability of all the websites you build. And if the projects you build are not reliable, I don't see the point. Okay, now let's just look at this website. So the core idea behind my talk today is the component driven development. So like the name suggests, it is focused on components. So this methodology, you can call it focuses on one component at a time. You start small. You don't start by building out huge pages. You don't start like put a button and then a text, and no, start by building primitive components. Start by building buttons. Start by building something like an input. It can be really simple. Just start small, then you combine them, and then you combine them into your pages, and then you actually integrate all of these pages into your project. It sounds simple enough, but let's see why it is useful. So I've taken this screenshot from their site as well because they explain it so well that I could not do a better job. So the first of all, it improves the quality of your code. When you develop components in isolation, they are independent from each other. They are meant to be independent from each other. They should do what they're supposed to do in all the different scenarios. It should not happen that you created a button and it behaves differently on two different pages, given that the configuration is the same. The durability of the code will increase because let's say a bug pops up in your code. Even if you are doing test driven development or component driven development, it's not like you are not never going to face bugs. There will be some edge cases because after all you are the one writing the tests. Sometimes you may write tests which may have logical errors, which may not cover all possible cases. So in these cases, when a bug pops up, you can just go down the hierarchy and pinpoint exactly which component is causing your UI to break. If you are not following the component based approach, this might get very dirty because it can be really difficult to find out which part of your UI is either throwing a logical error or even worse, breaking your styles. This can improve the speed and efficiency of your team. If you're working in a team, especially this allows you to work on different parts of your design system, you can call it, and you can share the load between your different team members. So like I said earlier, these components are independent from each other. So if one person is working on, let's say, one set of components, the other another person can work on another set of components. They because they are independent. They don't care about each other's existence. You can just work on different things and you can then merge them together. It's just so beautiful how all of these things come together. Now, the one of the most important parts of taking the component driven route is actually testing your components, at least unit tests. You might add integration tests, end to end tests, but unit tests are absolutely necessary. But why? Let's explore why. Uh, so, in test driven development or component driven development, when you are given a task to, let's say, build a component, or you have an idea that I want to build this component, for the sake of an example, let's say it's a button. Okay, so the feature request is a button. Now you don't start out by writing the markup for the button. You don't start by writing the HTML or the JSX or TSX, whatever you are using. You start by writing the test. Now, this might seem counterintuitive, but I'm sure it makes sense to folks who have used test-driven development before. So when you first write tests, it will obviously fail because you don't have any source code. Like I said, you don't write the markup before the test. So your tests will fail. Now, of course, you want your test to pass. Okay. So now you go and write the markup. Then you receive the feedback from the test, that whether your tests are passing or not. If your tests are still not passing, you obviously look at your code, check if everything is right. If you spot a mistake, correct it. And when your test finally passes, that's when you know that at least my component is working now. But that's not the end of the road. Now that you have a working solution, you clean your code, you refactor it, and get the feedback from the tests again. You see how the in this cycle, one constant thing is the feedback from your test, and this is so important, and this can relieve your stress so much. I cannot stress this enough. uh, it is so important that you are getting feedback all the time, because that's the only way to objectively decide whether your component is behaving the way you want it to. Okay, let's move on. Now, there is a catch here. Since you are the one writing the test, I even mentioned this earlier, since you are the person writing the tests, you have to make sure the tests themselves are right. They have to make sense. Okay, if there are logical errors in your test, they can't help you. It's just as simple as that. So make sure that the tests you are writing make sense, they are logically correct, they are that you are testing the right things, and they are making the right assertions. So that's the most necessary thing to get started. So today I'll be giving you a little code example, and we'll be using like I'll be giving you a short example in which we'll be using these tools. So basically, starting from the left, we have TypeScript, or I'm sure you know. Then there is Jest, Storybook, React, and Testing Library. Now let me introduce you to Storybook and Testing Library, since I guess not all people have heard of it. So yeah. So testing library is a testing utility for not just React, but for Vue.js and other frameworks too. And the important thing, or the pivotal idea about testing library, is that it allows you, or even forces you, to test your code for your so that it is optimized for your user. It does. You might have heard of Enzyme, which is Airbnb's tool. Enzyme allows you to test or make assertions on your components' inner state. React testing library not only discourages you from doing that, it just simply does not allow you to do that. So how does it work is that instead of checking the component's internal state, it allows you to look at the actual DOM and make assertions there. Since your user will never see the internal state of the component, your user will only see what's on the DOM. You should make assertions from that. So yeah, I'm not going to go too much detail into details here, but this is the core idea. Now let's talk about a storybook. So a storybook basically allows you to build your UIs in isolation. It allows you to basically assess your components individually, and even allows you to have different states from them. So like you can see here, there is a histogram component, and then there are three different states. There is a default, normalize, empty, and there are three. It will look different in all of those three states. So you can make changes in your code and actually see in real time how your component will behave under different circumstances. So this is storybook and testing library are really good, and that's what I prefer when I'm uh, writing UIs in React. So yeah, let's jump on into some code. So for this example, I'm using a image component, which is like a really basic image component, which will take a SRC and an alt text, and it will just render out an image. But not only that, we will handle the loading state of the image. So when the image is still loading, we don't want to display that ugly pixelated thing that browsers show. No, we don't want that. We will display a custom image. And let's say if the image crashes, basically the SRC we provide throws a 404 or anything, we don't want to show that pixelated browser thing. So we will also render a fallback in that case. So of course we will write the tests first, not the markup. As you can see, we don't have any markup right now. We'll start by writing the test. I'm using the React testing library. I won't go too much into details on in the syntax and stuff because it's very easily readable. It's You'll see it's so intuitive. So the first test I want to do is just simply check if the component is being rendered correctly. So should render the image correctly. Now we use this render method provided by testing library. TypeScript will complain right now because we don't have any markup. Let's just ignore it for now. That's instead of doing this, we should do this. And not test.png. We don't want to throw an error. I have to import the photos SRC. By the way, I'm importing the SRC from this file because that's the only way I can show you that there is something loading. Because if I use local images, it will just instantly load and there will be no point. Okay, so from this, we'll get this querying method called get by alt text. We will basically be querying the DOM based on the image's alt text. So let's get a reference to the image on our DOM. We'll do get by alt text. We pass in the alt. Now we expect our image to be in the document. See how readable it is. It's just amazing. And we expect. Now there's a little catch here. When you're using React testing library, especially when you're using images, you have to load the image manually. You have to fire the onload method, I guess it is, in JavaScript. So it might seem like this is pointless, but it will help us shortly. It will make sense soon why we are doing this. And only now we'll check the SRC is correct. Now, to make sure TypeScript doesn't complain, it's now happy. Okay, let's run the test. It should not pass. As expected, it fails because these props don't exist. Let's now write the markup so that our test passes. So we'll just be using, like I said, a simple image component, nothing too fancy. I'm just defining the props here. I'm using them here and just the standard stuff. And I'll just give them a bit of styling so that it doesn't take up my entire screen. Okay, let's see if the test passes now. Nice, it passes. So now we know that our image is actually showing the SRC you are passing to it and the alt we are passing to it. Look, for this we can even use something like snapshot tests, but I'm just using this as an example to like demonstrate how you use testing library. Uh, we passed the test, we wrote the markup, but we don't know what it looks like. That's where Storybook comes in. Look, Storybook has some weird syntax. You have to write stuff like this for each component you create, and then there's something called template. Even I'm not sure why you have to do that, but this is the standard syntax. If you follow that, you should be good. So okay, basically each thing you import from your story file is basically a story. A story is a UI state of your component. So our primary state obviously is going to be the, like, we don't have anything right now. So yeah, just we are just passing SRC and all to it. Let's see how it looks. I'm already running the Storybook server, so we should be able to see how it looks. Okay, looks good. I mean, let's have a look again. Okay, looks good. Okay, and I mentioned earlier that we will be handling the loading and the error cases. So let's now write the test for that. This is where this thing will come in handy, the fire event. Because if you don't have that, you literally cannot test what happens before the image is loaded. So this comes in handy right now. Okay, so let's just call this should render the loader while the image is loading. And yeah, look, GitHub Copilot does everything for you. You do not even have to do anything. Wow. So basically it's the same as this. You just render the image, you get a reference to the image. The only thing we are going to do differently is that we'll be making an assertion on the SRC of the image before we load it. So we'll be checking if this is indeed the loading SRC. And after we load it, we'll be making an assertion on whether it's the SRC we actually passed. Let's now try running the test. It should fail because we have not written the logic to handle the loading. Okay, it fails like you expect. Okay, now let's integrate the loading state here. We're just going to do a simple use state, set loading react.useState. We'll be defaulting this to true, and when the image loads, we want to set loading to false. Now we have to change the SRC dynamically. So when it is loading, we want to show the loading SRC. When it's not loading, we want to show the SRC we actually passed in. Okay, now let's run the test. They pass. Great. Now let's see it in action in Storybook. This is the loading SRC that we have passed, and this is the image. Great. So now let's handle the error. What if we pass SRC which doesn't exist? It will just throw ugly, no, just a standard browser error right now. So let's write a test for that case. Actually, I'm just gonna copy this because it's literally the same thing. Should render the fallback if there is an error. Simple enough. Um, yeah, let's pass something that breaks it. Doesn't really matter because we will be manually breaking it anyways. So instead of doing this, we'll be firing the error event. You can actually fire the load event too, and then we'll be firing the error event, and we should check if the SRC is indeed the fallback SRC. The test should fail, and it does. Now let's integrate the error functionality here. We'll add another state, and we'll set it to true when there is an error. And we want to render the SRC again dynamically. If there is an error, we want to show the fallback SRC. If there is not an error, then the standard stuff. Okay, let's see. Do the tests pass? Yes, they do. So we still haven't seen it in action. So let's add a story for this. We'll add const error. We'll call this story an error. It's a standard syntax, and we pass in the arguments. We pass something that breaks it. So a hash and an alt error. Okay. There we go. That's the fallback SRC that I passed. It's great. This allows us to, you know, make sure that whenever we, let's say, pass a huge file, our component will indeed show a loader. And when we pass something that doesn't exist or isn't even a source, it shows a fallback. Now, of course, in production, you don't want to use these funny SRCs, but you get the point. So yeah, so basically what I want to reiterate on is that writing tests allowed us to get constant feedback. It's a different thing that we pass all our tests in one go. This will never happen in a real scenario, because I have been there. The unit tests never pass on the first go. I have done this like 5 times, so that's why all of them are passing. So it will really come in handy when you are, you know, stuck in a problem and you just don't understand where it's coming from. You can just easily trace which one is breaking what. And yeah, it gives you confidence that my image component looks good when it's in a primary state. It looks good when it's in an error state, and you can add more and more and more, and you can make assertions on its styling. You can even make an assertion on its SRC. We haven't done that, so why don't we do that? Done. And GitHub Copilot will help you. You don't even have to remember all of this. It just does it all on its own. Just write a good prompt and it will just handle it. It passes, everything is good. Okay, so these are the references that I used. Both of them are my content. The first one is a repo. It contains the starter code for the example I showed. So if you are interested in maybe trying this yourself, you can clone it and have a look. And I wrote an article about the very same topic. If you want to, if you are into articles, you can check that out. And yeah, let's connect on Twitter if you like this talk. I tweet about tech and I'm kind. So let's be friends. And yeah, thank you. If you have any questions, make sure to let me know.